All right, let's talk about LLC. We briefly mentioned the LLC as the single member LLC. As I said, it's a disregarded entity. But the LLC, the limited liability company in general, is a very, very interesting part. And I call this hybrid business structure because it can be this and it can be that. That's the definition of a hybrid, right? So basically like two things hybrid together. So you can sort of enjoying like both of it, right? So what's the hybrid? It's first, as I said, always two ways of looking at this problem. One is the liability, right? If you own this, you're the owner, and you are going to consider the owner's liability because it's a kind of like a business, right? You're doing business, you're bound to run into some tricky scenario. You're bound to get some like involvements in, I don't know, maybe some like disagreements, and then that maybe involve the courts, maybe involved in the creditors, right? You got a risk, and you want to limit that risk. Okay, so the first, of course, is the liability, the owner's liability. The limited liability company, come on, the name just suggests it's a limited liability. So, you know what? It enjoy the limited liability. And for limited liability, corporation is pretty good at restricting all this liability to a limited level. Okay? So you can sort of treat the liability level of the limited liability company, the LLC, as the corporation because it sort of combined the limited liability of a corporation with another. It's a hybrid, right? With another, it's the partnership, right? So if you think about the single member LLC, that's just like sole proprietorship. But if you got like multiple person, right? Multiple person form an LLC, it's kind of like a partnership. You know what? LLC do not, by default, have double taxation. Okay? So basically, for example, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know what? The great thing about LLC is that there's no restrictions on the number of, of investors, right? Number of members of LLC. So basically, you can get a lot of people involved, invest in LLC, right? And although a lot of people, you can still sort of enjoy the benefit of a partnership because LLC does not tax twice. Okay? So it's sort of like a pass-through, just as if it's partnership, as if it's single-member LLC, as if it's a sole proprietorship. Okay? So that's the tax advantage of LLC. It's kind of a treat like the general partnership, the sole proprietorship. All that tax responsibility flow to you. Okay? So it's a hybrid. It combines both. Right? That's brilliant.